for a series that I am going to. Should replace a 4th item in my 5-item order. Ooh. Okay. Hello everyone. Merry Christmas everyone. Happy holidays. I hope everyone's having a good holiday season. I know I am. Today's, when I'm filming this, is December 26th. I'm hoping to have this video up before the end of the year, okay? December 31st, that's my goal. But I'm filming this on December 26th, so Christmas was yesterday. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. But yeah, this was a very successful, well, this was a very stressful year for me. So, sad to see it go, but also happy to see it go, you know what I mean? Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. I'm definitely smiling that it's over. It was a long year for me. I did not have as much time as I had in 2023 to read, which brings us to the topic of this video. This is my 2024 reading wrapped, of course. Y'all saw the title of this video. We know what the vibe is, okay? I did this last year. I'm gonna do it again this year. Last year, I had a couple people message me and be like, so you liked every book you read? And it's like, well, yes. I'm not gonna read books I don't wanna read or don't like think I'm gonna like. Hello. I also just have like a very open palette. Like I like a lot of different kinds of books. So to jump right on in, because I don't want to waste any more time with the intro, like I said, we're gonna be doing my 2024 reading wrapped. I also just realized the other week that the thumbnail for my 2023 reading wrap says 2024. So I need to fix that before this video goes up. But yeah, so we're just gonna jump right into it. I read a total of, how many books did I read this year? Okay, that's what I thought. I read a total of 12 books this year. So less than I read last year, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure last year I read 13. But that's okay, okay? I was very busy this year. It was a very stressful year. And then for most of the second half of the year, I was in like a really big reading slump. And it's kind of because my life was falling apart. What? Okay, so for some reason, everything I ordered on Shipped is not available. I literally just had to replace 3 items of a 5-item order. So from like July to November, we're kind of in a huge reading slump. I'm talking like I didn't read anything that wasn't for class between July and November. Definitely a disappointing reading year for me, but that's okay. My goal was 15 books. I did not make that goal. And I know there's a lot of like booktubers or like book talkers who read like 100, 150 plus books a year. And that's just not realistic for me, okay? I love the ambition. I love the time that they have. I'm a quick reader, but I also have like a lot going on in my life, okay? I'm young, I'm in school, I have a full-time job, like not full-time, I have a part-time job, but I'm a full-time student, so like there's a lot going on, okay? There's not a ton of time. Mind you, reading is literally half of my personality. Like between reading, dance, and music, like that's pretty much what I do. Sometimes it doesn't always happen the way you want it to. So like I said, I read 12 books this year. I just finished the 12th book yesterday, which is why I'm filming this video the day after Christmas and not like before, because this last book that I read took me a while to get through. I tried to start it multiple times between July and November, like that reading slump. It just wasn't working until the beginning of December. Anyways, we're gonna start off with the first book that I read. I only have a couple of these books in like physical copy. The rest of them I either read for school and had to return, or they were like ebooks. We're starting off the year pretty strong actually with Aura by Carlos Fuentes. This is like a little kind of horror-ish book. Like it's definitely spooky. I read it for a class where we were focusing on like evil in literature, like evil characters in literature. And so we read Aura by Carlos Fuentes. This was the only real like novel we read for the class. So it was the one that I was the most interested in because I was like, oh, I get to read an actual book instead of like short stories or like epic poetry. Like we read Beowulf for this class and I was like, a lot. I read it. I really liked it, actually. I didn't think I was gonna like it because it's one of those classes where you read like classics and like older literature that like you're supposed to know, but not necessarily supposed to like. I use Notion to track all of my books for the year. I also use an app called Storygraph, but Notion is like my hub. It marks when I start books, finish books, and then I write my reviews in them as well. I said I'm a person who very often doesn't want to read books for school simply because I'm told that I have to. That's always been like a weird point of contention for me, where like if I'm told to like read something, I don't want to read it. Like it automatically makes it like less appealing. I said the more I read it, the more I became completely invested in the story and the characters, despite not having a completely clear idea of the plot and the characters throughout the entire journey. That is one thing that I'll say, is that like it's a little mystical. It kind of feels like you're kind of just dropped into the story. It's like the story of this man and this grandma and this girl who, like, the man goes into a house and like the grandma's there and she's like weird as fuck. It's very strange. Like, it's been a hot minute since I read it because I read this book in January. But yeah, I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't bad. Wasn't the best book I've ever read, but wasn't bad. Moving right on down. That is not the first book I read this year. That's kind of what I thought. Now I'm pissed off. I just read that books out of order. Technically the first, Chewy's here. The first book I actually read this year was Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. Okay, if y'all remember my reading wrapped from the end of 2023, I had just read The Lightning Thief, which is the first Percy Jackson and the Olympians book. So the second one is The Sea of Monsters. Yeah, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars, just because I am comparing this book to the rest of the series. Like, it's good. Like, the plot definitely builds toward like the overarching theme in the series. It just wasn't my favorite book. In my review, I said I'm a diehard fan of Rick's Percy Jackson series, and I have a very vivid memory of reading these books as a kid in the school library and at my house, getting absolutely enveloped in the world of Percy and his friends. The first and the third books are my favorite after having read the entire series, and in comparison to The Lightning Thief and Titan's Curse, this one fell slightly short for me. I don't want to like spoil anything. There are going to be spoilers in this video later on for a series that I am going to. Just had to replace a 4th item in my 5-item order. It's a good story. And like, you meet one of my favorite characters in here. It's the Cyclops. He's one of my favorite characters. Tyson! I love Tyson. Tyson's one of my favorite characters in the whole series. It's good. It's just not my fave. Not my favorite sequel, but you know, leads to my favorite book. So next on my list though is my favorite book in the series. It's The Titan's Curse, and I read this book in 7 days. So I read Sea of Monster in 3 and read this one in 7. Also, Sea of Monsters I gave 3 out of 5 stars. Can't remember if I said that or not. Titan's Curse is my favorite book in the Olympian series, as I have said. This one's fantastic. I have vivid memories of reading this book as a kid, and like, there's a very specific scene in the very beginning of the book that I remember reading like in the school library. In my review, I said I think it holds a place as one of the best children/young adult books of all time. I also have a maybe unpopular opinion, but I don't think these are children's books. Like, every time I go to find a Percy Jackson book, it's always like in like the kids section. Like, it's right next to like the illustrated version of Harry Potter. I don't agree with that. I really would lean toward, and I know it's because it's Disney owned, but I really would lean toward these books being young adult instead of literal like youth and children. I said it's the first one of the books that includes all of the kids, including Thalia. It also introduces my favorite character, Nico, who I just got the book about for Christmas. The Sun and the Star is about Nico and Will. This is the one where Annabeth goes missing in the very beginning of the book, and then like the whole course of the book is them trying to find her. In the end of the book, there's like the iconic scene with Atlas and Annabeth and Percy holding up the sky. I said this book combines mystery, action, love, and the power of true friendship to make this one that people of all ages should read. The adventures of the Titan's Curse are both heartbreaking and powerful, making this book one of, if not my favorite young adult novels of all time. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, of course. The first 5-star read of 2024. Fantastic. Oh my god. I had to replace every single item in my order. Shipped, you're pissing me off. Why? Why would it let me order them if the store doesn't have them? Whatever, I don't care. It's fine. I'm getting pissed. Immediately following The Titan's Curse, I read The Battle of the Labyrinth, which is the 4th Percy Jackson book. I read the entire Percy Jackson series this year, of course. And I believe I gave this one 4 stars. Yeah, yep, 4 stars. This is a 4-star book for me. This is the one that messes with like memory and time as like Percy and whoever else he's with, I low-key can't remember right now, go through like the labyrinth. I said I like the mystery of the labyrinth as a whole, and I do think that the true introduction of Rachel Dare's character is something that the series very much benefited from. Yeah, this one is really good. I do feel like it is the most dark. Like it feels the like oldest of the first 4 books, which is also why I would say that this series should be considered young adult instead of youth, but whatever. Percy's kind of battling like this difference in feeling that he feels for Rachel and for Annabeth, not really being able to tell the difference between platonic love and romantic love, which is something that is very common in young adults. Why is this a children's book? Whatever, it's fine. In addition, the inclusion of Pan's storyline in the Olympian series is one that made me really stop and think, and the culmination of Pan's storyline happening almost immediately before the battle that occurs in The Last Olympian is a choice that Rick made very intentionally, and it works very well. This book has so much to love, and thinking back on it, I may want to reread it in the future to potentially reconsider my rating, as thinking back it is better than I remember. If you don't know what I'm talking about with the Pan thing, Pan is the god of nature, I believe. There's this whole thing where like Pan is missing, and so like bad things are happening in nature and like trees are dying and shit like that, and they go to find Pan and he dies. So then it really is like the fate of like nature and humanity is up to you and not up to me. Like I can't control what humans do. Basically like a commentary on industrialization and things like that. I think more people should be reading Percy Jackson. I love Rick Riordan. Which brings us to the last Percy Jackson book that I read this year. I did give The Last Olympian 5 out of 5 stars, and I said this book is the original Avengers Endgame of young adult literature. Hint, hint. The culmination of years of stories that all contributed to this grand battle of the Olympians. It was an excellent choice of Rick's part to open the story immediately with action and conflict. This book is very good. Like, it is fantastic. The writing style and like the way that Rick builds conflict within conflict is very good. And it also made me really anxious in like a good way, like in like a way that I was like flipping pages. But like, yeah, it's all of the demigods, all of the gods, like everyone coming together to fight this grand battle against Titan Kronos. I think he's a Titan. There's a very sad moment that happens in this book, but it is a very good book. In addition, the development of Percy... I need to stop talking for a sec. The development of Percy's relationship with Poseidon comes to a high point in this final book. He spends his entire life thinking that his dad doesn't love him or care about him, and then when it really matters most, Poseidon shows up. I think it's beautiful. Excellent conclusion to my favorite young adult book series. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to talk about the fact that it's not young adult and it's also not the end of the series anymore, but these books are fantastic. I do think that people of all ages should be reading them, okay? Even if the writing style is meant for 12-year-olds, pick up the books. Pick them up. They're fantastic. Moving right along, if we want to go back to my first ever vlog on this YouTube channel, it is a vlog of me going to Barnes & Noble and buying The Silent Patient and A Court of Thorns and Roses. And that video came out in 2022. It is now 2024, and I finally read this book. And I'm not gonna lie, this book was incredibly difficult to start. I don't know why, but I just couldn't do it. Like I just couldn't start it. Court of Thorns and Roses is the first book in the ACOTAR or the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I'm sure if you're online at all, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not like a niche underground fantasy romance. And I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. For it being so hyped in my life and me wanting to read it so bad, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, and that's not bad, okay? It's not. In my review, I said I put off reading this series for a very, very long time. But despite the relatively slow start to this book, the plot is overall pretty solid. I think there's something to note about how in this book specifically, I was a really big fan of Tamlin. Let's talk about that. The way that Sarah J. Maas writes these books, she writes them very, very well, so that you are as shocked as the characters when like a plot twist happens. There's no foreshadowing. As the books progress, you realize that he is a villain. I didn't even read this review and I'm having the exact same thoughts. Good for me. The plot of this book is not my favorite in the series, but it's not bad. Oh, okay. I thought I was being stupid. I said, it's truly remarkable how Sarah is able to do almost the exact same thing with Rysand in this book. Do we have any reason to truly believe that Rhys is a terribly awful man? Do we have proof or anything like that? Or do we just know and feel it because Tamlin says so? And it's like, yeah, that's exactly how Feyre feels. So of course that's how we're gonna feel too. We don't have any reason other than the fact that Rhys killed his family. But like, layers, okay? Her books are like an onion. When I picked up this book, I was literally sitting in the store embarrassed because I was like, oh, it's just fairy porn. I literally said that in the video, I think. Like, I think there's a clip of me going like, oh, I picked up a fairy porn book. And it's like, that's the reputation that this book has, but it really is a lot more than that. Like, the messages in the later books get so much stronger than the first one. It's not my favorite. It's really not. Like, it's not the best book I've ever read in my life, but it is a very good introduction into a world that I really, really love. Feyre's a badass and not a realistic character at all. Okay, so we've got kind of a jump in. Holy shit, Mist and Fury took me a long time to read, which is my favorite book in the series so far. April 10th to July 16th. Wait, that's really funny, the timing of that. Court of Mist and Fury. Guys, what an upgrade, okay? What an upgrade. Miles better than the first one. Like, this takes a good, like, backbone to a story and makes the fuck out of it. I gave this one a 5 out of 5, of course. It's so fantastic. I said this book is honestly, completely and utterly breathtaking. I read it over a very long period of time, but this book kept me invested from the first page to the last. So no matter what I was doing, I was still in it. I was also taking spring and summer classes, which is probably why I didn't read much during that time. She's got trauma. Okay, the man that she thought that she was in love with captured her, but like saved her and like helped her family. Turned out to be scum. Okay? Scum. And the person that she was terrified of ended up being someone that she was really going to care for. Like, the duality of characterization in this book is very, very good. Now, I will say, I need to preface this. Feyre is not my favorite, what is the fucking word I'm looking for? Protagonist. She's not my favorite protagonist of all time, okay? I don't love Feyre's character. Sometimes I think she's a little stupid. I think she puts a lot of people in danger all of the time. And I also think she can be very naive. However, she does go on a very realistic journey in this book, okay? Like, we just have to face that. Because let's all remember, she starts this book being fucking miserable. And the person that she loves doesn't literally give a fuck. And she's so used to that. And then she enters this world of Valeris and like in the Night Court with Rhys. She like is terrified and deeply disturbed at the idea that people truly do like want to love and care for her. And like, I don't deserve that. And it's like, yeah, you do. Like, everyone deserves to be loved. You know what I mean? There's constant mysteries and suspensions and betrayals at every corner. And the final seasons of this book with the king and the reveal of Feyre's sisters is one that I can vividly picture in my mind. Had me fucking gagged and on the floor, okay? The image of Nesta pointing at the king like this, like when she's sinking into the cauldron, and then the absolute badass that she becomes in the next book, like, oh my God. I can't wait to finish Feyre's journey over the next couple of books and see where the next 3 books in the series takes me. If anything, this series is going down as one of my favorites in fantasy, and it's getting me extremely hyped for Throne of Glass, which is true because Throne of Glass is next up on my list of things to read. Okay, I guess I've been yapping for so long that my fucking camera's about to die. We're good, guys. She's been saved. 5 out of 5 stars for A Court of Mist and Fury. Beautiful book. Fantastic. Next up on the list, I read, this is, whoa, we're taking a jump. This is later in the year as well. This was for one of my fall semester classes. And I'm gonna go pretty quickly through the ones that I had to read for class, which is the next 4. The Autobiography of Malcolm X was the next book that I read, and it was for my Black Studies class. And this book was extraordinarily powerful, as one would assume. If you don't know who Malcolm X is, you should definitely do some research. He was very integral in like the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement, like in America. You know what I mean? Like, he's a very, very important historical figure, and he did a lot of super, super cool shit. His autobiography just like details some extraordinarily fucked up shit. Like, it's truly sickening. It kind of makes me fucking violent. Not actually, but like in my soul, it it pisses me off to a degree that I can't really describe. Reading Malcolm's book was the reason that I decided to pick up a Black Studies minor in college. So I'm a literature major with a Black Studies minor now. And I think there's a lot to learn in real, unwhitewashed history. And I think that there's a huge effort, especially right now in America, to pull back on that. And I, for the life of me, will never be able to understand why. The reason that we teach history in school is so that we learn from it. Oh my God. Learning about some of the shit that was in his autobiography was fucking crazy, to say the least. I believe, what did I give that book? I gave that book 4 stars. Literally everybody should read it. If it was up to me, it would be mandatory reading in schools. But it actually, ironically, is one of the books that's being banned from schools, so. Like, I wonder fucking why. Anyways, moving right along from that. I don't even know why I put this on here. The next book that I read was actually a play. It's called Dr. Faustus, okay? If you want to talk to me about this fucking play, I will be able to tell you so many things. What did I give this? I gave it 3 stars. It's not a bad play. It's about this doctor who engages in like witchcraft and necromancy, but he also lives in Reformation era England. And it's just bad. It's like a ton of people just being like, it's a good story, but it's like a bunch of people just being like, you can't do that. Pissy. I'm pissy. My camera fucking died. I literally had that stress, all that stress about plugging it in, and it fucking died. Whatever, it's fine. I was in the middle of talking about Dr. Faustus, so we're gonna get back into that. I also outfit change. I'm wearing my PJs now. But in the world of English Reformation, that was like, big no-no, okay? Don't fuck with the devil, because Reformation was very Catholic. So people were like scrutinizing him. He made a deal with the devil. It was a whole thing. I worked on that book for a huge project for my English class for months. So if you ever have a question about Dr. Faustus, don't even worry, I can answer it for you, because I just can't think about it any longer. I did so much work, so much research, so much time spent, a lot of knowledge about Christopher Marlowe and his Calvinistic upbringing. Anyways, next, I read a book that I've read many a time. We're just gonna jump right in. It's The Picture of Dorian Gray. I love The Picture of Dorian Gray. My favorite classic novel. It's so fantastic, and it's just like, we read it for my philosophy of evil class, and it just really like taught me a lot about like what makes an evil person, and like the corruption of soul. It's a lot. If you don't know the story of Dorian Gray, I encourage you to either read it or look it up, because it is kind of a lot. It's very meta, gay undertones for all those LGBTs. I gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. Oh no, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because I had to read it for class. And so that reading automatically goes down. That's just how it works. The next one is my lowest rated book of the year. It was, tragically, in case my philosophy professor is watching this, it was A Clockwork Orange. Ugh, I did not like that book. I really didn't really get into it. I also think that the time that we started reading that book, I was just like not doing well. So it was really hard for me to like focus on it and like actually get into it. Again, for my philosophy of evil class, we were talking about like, can evil really be cured? Or like, can evil people really be cured? I just didn't like the book. And maybe it's just because I have to reread it outside of a class setting, but I gave this a 2 out of 5. Honestly, I would bump it down to a 1.5 out of 5. And now that we've gone through all the books that I read for class, ooh, I just gave a spoiler. It's time to get to the final book that I read for 2024. And that is A Court of Wings and Ruin. It's the 3rd ACOTAR book. 3rd out of 5. A Court of Wings and Ruin. Okay, this one is fresh in my brain. Finished it on Christmas, so it took me 25 days to read this. I finished this one yesterday. Really get a good look at it. I loved this book. I loved this one not as much as I loved A Court of Mist and Fury. I think I would give this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. In Notion, I give it a 5 out of 5 because there's not really an option to give it a half star. I'm giving this one a 4.5 out of 5. It's not as good as Mist and Fury, but it's fantastic. There were twists and revelations and everything at literally every single turn of this book. Yeah. She starts this one living in the Spring Court. Tamlin's being a fucking bitch. We get the plot twist that Lucian is gonna help Feyre escape the Spring Court. In doing so, she does unfortunately kill most of the people in the Spring Court. and there's nothing we can do about that. I actually think I do like this. Oh shit, I need to hurry up. I actually think I do like this book as much as Mist and Fury. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 5 out of 5 because the battle that takes up chapters and like the entire third act of this book is just war, and it's fucking phenomenal. I think I like this one equally as much as I liked Mist and Fury. Like, this book is fucking phenomenal. It is so good. Fight through the first book and get to these two because they're fantastic. I've heard the Silver Flame is equally as good because it focuses on one of my favorite characters, Nesta, and one of my other favorite characters, Cassian. And as of yesterday, I have started Frost and Starlight. So I am on the 4th book now. Hopefully we'll be on Silver Flame shortly, straight into Throne of Glass because that is the next series that I want to read. But with that being said, that is my full 2024 reading wrapped. I'm officially, as of today, I'm starting my 2025 reading. I'm doing all that kind of stuff, setting up my 2025 TBR, setting my book goal, all that kind of stuff. 2 more videos in the works along with this one, but I want to make sure that this is top priority since this is becoming like an annual thing. But yeah, that is all from me today, folks. I'm sorry that my camera died halfway through. If you read any of these books or you want to read, take this as my unbridled review of all of these books, recommendations on whether or not to read them. I'd be interested to hear everyone's thoughts. But yeah, I hope you guys have had a good 2024. Looking forward to 2025, and I'll see you when I see you.